What's up, boys? We're back with some more of the Acid Breath Dragon Disciple. We're in the middle of epic levels right now at level 25. Let's toss a jump on him so that we can both take the shortcut over here. We've got some really cool stuff in epic levels and then still some more cool stuff coming up pretty soon. So I can summon a bunch of shards around me, which will then hit an enemy every second. And those do massive damage and I get a bit of shielding from those. And then also I can use this 1 minute cooldown to generate a bunch of ki, so we aren't as reliant on meleeing anymore. That's from the epic monk tree over here, Grandmaster of Flowers. So I can pop that, get a bunch of temporary HP and a ton of single targets. And we've got an extra dragon breath from the Draconic Incarnation tree, and I get something cool up here at level 26 as well, which I'm really looking forward to. It will convert our breath attack into sort of a persistent aura around me, which will allow me to do a lot more damage and also trigger on dragon breath stuff multiple times throughout its duration. So that'll be really nice with all the crowd control effects. We can also paralyze everything with a 25% chance on breath attacks. So that happens very often from the Draconic Incarnation. And that one actually works on Reapers as well, so you almost always trigger that on them pretty early on, since it's such a high chance, and every spell is classified as a breath. Oh, one thing I forgot to mention that's pretty important, the spellbook spells are actually pretty bugged currently, so I think all of the breath attacks in here have very low DCs currently, so you can see only a 41 on there, which is tiny. And then the spell-like ability version of Devastation is currently at 73. So over 30 lower. So until they get a fix up for the spellbook stuff, most of those are useless. I'm just using the Black Dragon Bolt for some extra single target damage, since all of our attacks are AoE. We are a bit weak on the single target side, so that helps out a bit with that. See if we can get it paralyzed on the Reaper here. There we go, very nice. So if I had working spells right now, we would actually be able to just cast spells full time. But once all of my stuff is on cooldown right now, we kind of have to weave in a few auto attacks, but that will help us out a little bit with ki. But as long as you pop that on... Wait, isn't that supposed to be a 1 minute cooldown? Yeah, 1 minute, and then that's 90 seconds. What? That is weird. Oh, you know, I might have forgotten to put the updated version of that on my bar. So whenever you level something up in this game, it actually keeps the old version on your bar, so we'll try that once the cooldown is back up and see what the cooldown is on that, but it might actually be bugged as well, I'm not completely sure. I've actually never used that before, and the reason I'm taking that is because there's only really 2 of these that are good for acid, and we're going to be putting a lot of points into those 2 anyway, so we kind of just have a few extra points for the last one. And I think getting some nice ki sustain from that is super nice for our leftover points.
Must know where the lodge is right now. I'll get that druid help them divine its location. The wildlife here holds many secrets.
Oh yeah, one other bug I found is that the improved mental toughness feat, the upgraded version of this, is not currently available to Dragon Disciple, although I think it's supposed to be. You can see this one has like various level requirements for classes and stuff, and I think they probably accidentally left Dragon Disciple off of the improved version when they were making it an actual caster. It's not a huge deal, it just lets you get a tiny amount of extra spell crit and spell points. Let's see, what other cool stuff do we have in the epic tree so far? This will give you a chance to gain a bunch of temporary spell points whenever you cast something, and since you're pretty low on the Dragon Disciple and you don't really have a way to increase it any, you don't actually gain any spell points from Wisdom. You can see over here we have 65 Wisdom, and then that goes down to 56, and my spell points don't actually change. Oh, they do! Okay, so that was bugged a few days ago, but it looks like that's fixed now, and you do gain spell points? Oh wait, no, that might be my wizardry item. Yeah, that is wizardry. Okay, so this should lower my wisdom, so 65 down to 59. Yeah, wisdom does not change your spell points, that's just from the wizardry on that one.
Careful.
So he wants to break all the stuff here for the extra XP bonus over here. We actually have it maxed out at 15%, so we don't need any more now.
Watch out!
So we can pop all of our cooldowns since I have a bunch of ki built up from using that correctly throughout the run. Pop my spell power boost as well, and then we can use Black Dragon Bolt for some extra single targets. Let's see, that is a 1 minute cooldown. Okay, good. So I just forgot to drag the new version onto my bar there.
Now, so we can put the scroll fragment. The nether scroll fragment should no longer be a threat to the
And that's a
operation,
pretty
now
big
that it's
thing
safely
throughout the
warded
early
inside
levels,
the
mainly as you're
container.
getting like
Feel free
new
to
levels
take
on your
anything
spell-like
else you
abilities and
find
all.
inside.
You sometimes forget to update those, and then you have to put the new magics that you're getting from feats as well on them. So we pop our key at the start of every run, down to 1 minute now. And then I always buff up the Shard Storm as I'm running around. You can see it does some massive single target damage, and there's a bunch of strikes. And I get a huge amount of temp HP on top of that to absorb some hits as we're in melee, since that helps us position our spells and get the occasional auto attack off for some extra generation and some imbue-based damage.
Gloomy wild, a massive tree looms in the midst of the fog ahead.
It's not the strongest build. I think you're going to struggle a lot above maybe like Reaper 5 or so. I've been doing a decent amount of R3 and 4 in groups, and it's been pretty smooth. I can't tank a ton of hits if Shardstorm is down, so I do have to play a bit like a caster, but the passive movement speed you get from all of the monk levels is super nice for avoiding hits. So we're at 162% passively. 164%, I don't know what's going on with that. I think that's correct. Any class can get 30% from items, and then we get 35% from the pure monk class. And you also have the Flight of Kings on top of that for a little bit of a boost every once in a while. So very fast, and you're almost a full caster. Once they fix the bug with the DCs on the spellbook, you can probably play as basically a full caster. And since all of your skills should benefit from both Conjuration and Breath Attack DCs, that should actually make up for the difference from having the low-level spells and then some eventually, since you can get way over +5 to Breath Attacks, and that's what you would get as a bonus for level 9 spells versus level 4, I think. Although you also can't really use the heightened meta magic, since that just brings stuff up to your highest spell level. So at most, I think you're getting +3 off of that for your very low level stuff. Another Paralyze on the Reaper, very nice. And we've got a decent amount of poison damage now from the Primal Avatar stuff. Both the Shardstorm over here and then the Mantle, which I'm using for acid, poison, and force damage, and then also the spell point stuff on that. So the acid immunes are a little bit more manageable, but it's still not pretty, I would say. So I have a delayed blast fireball as well to help out with those sometimes if they're really bad. Oh yeah, I forgot my key thing. Now we can pop some cooldowns here.
No longer a threat to Lost Souls Swamp. Find Seamus and ask him about the missing scroll piece.
Let's see, this guy wanted the quest. I think it's that one.
You find Orifon's nether scroll piece in the Medusa's hidden treasure room.
So pop our key at the start every time, and then here's a quick look at what I did for the trees. If you wanted to take a quick glance at that, I'm not going to go super in depth for this. I think I'm going to do a bit more of a guide thing a bit later on, and I'll do a little bit more in depth for that, but just if you wanted to see what I'm working with right now. Pop that and probably do a few melee attacks around here as well. I did find the Wisdom Trance pretty hard to use pre-epic levels. The 35 key, when it only lasts a couple minutes before you have the extra generation from the Grandmaster Flowers. The +1 here is actually fairly helpful as well. It allows you to reach a much higher stable level. You can see we're still generating key at 143.
They've taken over the place.
Which way is it gonna go? Keeps faking me out. So most people just run around and try to open all the doors and then funnel them back through here and AoE them down. Especially on lower Reapers like Reaper 1 right here. Pretty easy to just blast everything. See if we can land something on that Reaper so he stops moving around so much.
The last of the inn's invaders falls. You hear a door creak.
And as a monk, you can zoom around and grab all the quest
The
stuff.
innkeeper gives you the barn key, along with a warning. Don't you touch anything but that key. I keep all my valuables in that chest. As
More
you
key
enter
to
the
replenish
barn,
that.
a Netherese wizard brandishes his staff. You will not stop us from finding the pieces and assembling the scroll. Live or die.
Oh yeah, you can also put this temporary buff on your entire group depending on whether
As
you're
the
dark or
wizard
light.
incants a summoner's
Giving a 1 minute immunity to a bunch of different crowd control effects like stun and daze and stuff is... It's not like super common, but when it helps you out, it's very nice. Since that's one of the easiest way to die is just getting CC locked in this game. I think there's even a damage bonus helpless damage, so you can't act and you take a ton of extra damage on top of that.
You are more capable than you appear. The wizard calls down. If you have the nerve to face me, that lever and come up in the Netherese wizard.
Toss a
stops
Drak,
his
or
casting
Drak Blacken Bolt.
Anger
Yeah, I'm sure that's it for the single target.
with the
Rotate
wizard
some
and his
breaths.
shadowy minions
I think we do need to kill all the shadows here as well. I was just waiting for those to spawn.
You should be able to reach the attic now. The contents of the chest are mostly junk. It's not clear what valuables the innkeeper was worried about.
So we're up to 303 key, and that's only a -1, so that's going to last a pretty long time. It looks like he's going for the tiny optional before unlocking that. That's not ideal.
The innkeeper turns to attack you. You'll never live.
He
to
could have
tell
unlocked
my
the door before
secrets,
doing
he
that.
shouts.
So he could have done both parts at the same time.
The traitorous innkeeper falls to the ground, silent.
So grab the key and then we'll go get the door for them. So you could have just grabbed this and then gone over there and done the optional.
The bartender is nowhere to be seen. Not surprising, as the sellswords have ransacked the tavern in their search for the scroll piece.
And of course we also have the Dragon Breath from Dragonborn that causes a chance of knockdown, which you saw right there on all of our breath classified attacks, which is basically everything.
I wish to speak with the wizard's voice goes cold. Are you alive?
And he's dragging the boss upstairs for some reason.
Patient. It is time to end this. As he speaks, a much larger shadow looms into view.
Make sure that guy died since you have to fight him again after he summons the big shadow. And then there will be some waves of stuff you have to finish off on down here.
With the last of the Netherese purged from the town, the bartender emerges from the splintered The bartender mulls over the question of the scroll scrap.
A magic scroll? No, he never gave me anything like that. The only thing that sponge ever gave me was...
So short storm at the start of every fight, and then I'll wait for stuff to group up a little bit, and then just try and hit as many as possible with all the dragon breaths I have. And then we'll probably wait for the artificers to remove these traps, since they can do annoying stuff like slowing you down or doing a bunch of damage as you run into them. Well, they're not getting the ones on that side, so I guess we're going over here first. All of the proc effects from the mantles here can actually trigger on your melee attacks as well. So if you're just doing 1 or 2 melee attacks every once in a while, they do much higher damage now.
Still and stagnant pool. The foul stench is particularly strong, and this dark shadows whisper of the other element. The Netherese must have done some. The shadows coursing through the elemental dissipate before the elemental breaks apart and evaporates.
There's also a bug on this quest where if you jump down into the final area before you unlock everything, then the quest is actually just incompletable at that point, so I'm just warning them about that. We need to find the other overseer boss real quick.
Kelden's sing-song voice emanates from the Netherese staff. I always told Gaston that heroes never know how to set up.
Normally you would run all of these side rooms in a sequence, and then you would find that guy right away, since he's always in like the last one that you check if you find him in each of them. So we're gonna have to run through all of these again and try to find where he ended up. And then now the final boss is open and we can go there without it bugging out.
The overseer and elemental must have been magically connected to a gate somewhere. With their death, the sound of opening metal can be heard in the distance.
Oh yeah, I think if you kill his summons first, it can upgrade your kill bonus here from Onslaught to something else. Did he jump down before? I think he jumped down before we did that and he bugged it, even though I told him not to. That's unfortunate. I mean, there's a reason I said that. So I will be honest, there are a decent number of bugs in this game like this. So I saw him going for the boss and I told him not to jump down, but he did it anyways. And now we have to make sure that we kill the 2 mini-bosses first, before anyone does that. Otherwise you just can't trigger the boss there.
Tower and beacon in the night. A lone staff stands suspiciously in the center of this room. Atop the tower rest a number of grim-faced gargoyles. Had the adventurers outside found this hidden cellar?
I'm gonna wait for my shard storm here so we get a decent HP buffer with all these mobs on this. Nice part about the monk huge movement speed, you can just kite if needed for a bit until your cooldowns come up as well.
The large umbral gargoyle dissolves into shadow. This tower can once again be a beacon for travelers. Kelden's sing-song voice emanates from the Netherese staff. Stupid, predictable heroes! Chase me all you like!
So now we're just trying to find the Overseer again wherever he ended up. Here we go. I think this is the room you fight him in eventually. Nope. Probably just the one that he most commonly ends up in.
The reek of still and stagnant pools wafts up from the nearby chambers. Something foul. The foul stench is particularly strong at this spot. Dark shadows whisper of the water elemental. A soft magical din can briefly be heard as the Overseer collapses.
Okay, they got the Overseer, and then now we need the Water Elemental?
Before the elemental breaks apart and the
I think so.
Overseer and Elemental must have been magically connected to a gate somewhere. With their death, the sound of opening metal can be heard in the castle throne room.
Then we'll hang up here a little bit more just to make sure everything is processed correctly.
With an object resting on the throne. It must be another scroll piece. A Netherese wizard waves at you dismissively.
And then finally, he actually does the RP and will attack us in a second.
Is what you're looking for? The scroll piece?
Oh yeah, if someone wanted to wait up there, we could let them kill the shadows as they come in.
The wizard calls out to the darkness. Creatures of shadow. The Netherese arcanist falls in the scrap of
We already have the max kill bonus, I think?
piece
Conquest.
of parchment is yours.
So not even necessary if you get all of the optional stuff here then. I've honestly been enjoying the Dragon Disciple quite a bit now that we're decent ways into epics and getting all the extra goodies. The key generation is one of the most important things, making it feel a lot smoother and more consistent, I think. And then all of the nice epic spells you get, like Shard Storm and the extra Dragon Breath, that'll get the huge upgrade and one more level at 26.
Fallen purple dragon knights lie near a battle-scarred cottage, victims of the struggle for the keep. Glowing orbs of deadly magical evil block the path.
You need to kill the stuff up here, or the huge number of stuff chasing after you is going to lag out the game. So I don't know why he's skipping those. The game will definitely start breaking and lagging extremely badly if you pull a huge number of mobs after you. So you kind of need to do it every like 2 or 3 packs at least, or probably 1 pack if it's such a large one like that one or this one.
A pair of Netherese wizards are engaged.
Just something you have to get used to when you're playing such an old game.
One of them calls to you with scorn in his voice.
But I love the character building in it. There's a ton of customization you can do when you're choosing all the combinations of classes and feats and stuff.
Do you understand what that means?
And then if there's a really long role-playing thing for like a boss to spawn out, you can also get a little bit of extra key from meditation. It takes a pretty long time, and I think it gives you like 35 extra, so it's not really a big deal later on once you have the other generation stuff for it.
The sky goes dark and the smell of sulfur fills the area. An ominous vortex opens in the sky, a portal to some malevolent place. The towering demon turns to Netherese wizard and grins.
And then we can just dash out of pushes like that. Pretty nice as well. And then I'm going to position myself to get breath attacks on as many enemies that are like funneling on top of the boss as possible as well.
Smoldering fire.
Let's see, where did he teleport to? We'll AoE down some of these to help prevent the lag as well. Then it looks like we got him.
Snaps shut.
Still a bit of lag anyways.
Pair of more familiar figures flicker into view. Your harbor friend Rena raves to you.
Instant paralyzes on one of the Reapers, and then there's the other one. And that's from the Daunting Roar and the Draconic Incarnation. 25%.
A mocking
They can't be
voice
paralyzed
above
again,
yells,
but it's so good that it kind of needs that to balance it out a bit.
The snake crest on the ground may be of use
Is
in
that
reaching
the only
Harvest
spawn
Hall.
point in this one? Looks like it might be. Guess that makes it pretty easy then.
We thank you for protecting us, says the camp's elder. Take this crest in gratitude.
I think
It will
the
help
other
you to
camp here has
enter
like 3
Harvest
different
Hall.
spawn points, so if you have people on each of them, it makes it a lot faster.
Loud splashes and guttural growls echo in the tunnels ahead.
I don't remember this path, and I don't know why that's locked. But we do have several artificers here.
The sick and wounded are now safe from the lizard folk. A sniveling voice calls out from above.
You fell for it! Fill him with arrows!
Shouts come from both ends.
Yeah,
of the
this is
camp.
the one.
It's
So
a
I can open the
two-pronged
gate
assault.
here and take this side. I'm sure someone will get the middle.
More criminals drop down right in the middle of the camp.
Then we'll just... Well, looks like they could use a little bit of help in here.
As the gate defenders fall, the criminals force the gates open and pour into the camp.
So you'll see when we're using our spells heavily on cooldown, there will be a bit of downtime right now since we can't really effectively use the spell book. And you do need to weave in a few autos. Mainly comes into play when there's like a very tanky single target boss. In fact, I think there's probably a boss over here at some points from the middle spawn. Okay, looks like they're just not getting the other gate right now then.
Down from the ceiling grates. The natives below scramble.
There should be a boss in the middle here at some points.
You've ended the attack on this camp. The grateful natives
level
take
26,
down
that's
the
nice.
barricade, so you can
Be able to get
proceed
that
to
Dragon
Harvest
Breath
Hall.
upgrade for the Epic Strike soon then when I take that level.
A slight breeze suggests that you are nearing an exit. Yet, with the breeze also comes a pungent reptilian smell. The Elder thanks you for protecting the camp.
And then the boss here will have a bunch of immunity phases.
Take this
If
to
you
lead
can
these
drag her up
thugs
to this
out.
little area right here where everything spawns, then you can sort of just AoE her and them down at the same time. She will go immune, but it'll be a little bit easier to switch in between destroying the ads and her.
Their lives. I'll take yours. Blood for blood.
Athea attacks with renewed vigor. More of Athea's lackeys join her fight as she cries out.
I'll have my vengeance.
The head of the criminals crumples to the ground.
My family wiped out by you bumpkins.
She gasps. You've routed the criminals and ended their scheme to destroy the... You are welcome to use Harvest Hall as a place to rest and recover from now on. A sudden explosion tears apart a section of the building. Then, a mysterious voice calls out.
What kind of fools do you take us for? Still alive?
Exclaims the voice in the rafters.
Good.
A voice calls to you from a nearby rooftop.
This isn't over. In fact, it's only begun. Don't delay.
Says the voice.
If you waste my time, your friends will one. They fight each other, and only the strongest survives. Then I become picked of you.
Haunts the mysterious voice from the nearby room. A sudden blast blocks your path. These narrow
One other thing I really like
are full
trying
of
to
dead
do with
ends.
the Dragon Disciple
Hidden
is with
somewhere
the
in this
very
maze
short range
is
stuff.
the
You
mysterious
start
person
casting them
who
and
took
then
your
sort of
allies.
finish the cast as you're like landing in the middle of a bunch of enemies.
Give my regards to the lizard folk.
You're basically
Shouts a
skipping the
distant
cast and
The only way forward
aiming it
appears to be
onto a
through
bunch of
these
them at the same
foul
time.
smelling tunnels. A woman screams from inside a burning building. Yet saving her from the blaze may compromise the life of an ally.
Oops, I have no idea where the other one is here. Okay, I think one of them is up here. There's like 2 levers we need to pull in here. Let me see if I can paralyze this guy. There we go. Okay, I think that's one of them. And then the other one is right
As the
here.
lever unlocks the drain, a gate unlocks in the distance as more lizard folk attack.
One other super
voice
annoying
taunts
thing
you
is
from
that if
somewhere
enemies
quite
put
close.
really long-lasting
Do
damage
you
over time effects on you like that,
understand that,
you can't really interact with
The
levers or
prisoner,
chests or anything, even though it does a negligible amount of
They're
damage.
all our puppets. And so,
The voice continues as you climb onto the roof.
you're
There's a
almost
Fear
there.
Reaper somewhere.
Shadow has brought you to me.
Can't
so you
ignore
can play
those.
your part in her plan.
Damage over time they apply will just keep ramping up until everyone dies.
mysterious voice is much closer now.
You've passed the test with flying colors. Well done. Now, meet me up on the roof.
As you reach the rooftop, the voice calls out once again.
We meet at long last.
You can now see that the voice belongs to a robe. Ladders hit the rooftop, and the priest's minions swarm up, ready for battle.
Try and position myself to hit all of the ads at the same time as we're hitting the boss over there.
Now that the priest is dead, you should rescue any of your allies that still live. You are greeted by all of your allies, alive and well. Now, to help yourself to the mad priest's hoard of treasure. The shade vanishes back into his tower retreat. You might learn how to reach the general by questioning the recruiter. From the bed, furious at being disturbed. The defiant guardian falls. You now have the key to the Shade's tower.
Huh, I guess you can squeeze by those on that side. Maybe just on the other way? Not exactly sure. Didn't look like they hit me on the first pass by
Stairs
them.
lead up to the tower where the Shade General dwells. Frigid mist drifts out of a dark and foreboding mirror. This must lead to the Shade General turns to greet you.
Ah, you are braver than the usual sword father Cormier sends against us. Alas, you are just as talented. Don't you understand? You do not face mere individual. You face an entire empire. Hundreds of leagues away. Plans are in motion too. But I can see it's no use trying to discuss grand strategy with a mere foot soldier. So why don't we skip to the part you do understand? The fighting.
The Shade breaks off his attack.
All things that walk the Shadowfell serve me, as do the things that grow. Finish this. I do not believe in silence.
The dying Shade seems untroubled by his defeat.
Fear Reaper right at the end.
Or did you think that Wei Lun was our only front? Kind will never understand.
Responds the Shade Archive.
The Shadow Curse is strong with Carmen. He does this because he must. Did you hear that?
then in one of these rooms, we should be able to
Searching
find a
the
key
clutter
to
reveals
progress to the
nothing of
next
interest.
area.
You discover a
So if we
key
can
while
split up
searching
and
the
check
desk.
all of them at the same time, it'll
Searching
be
the
a bit
clutter
faster.
reveals nothing of interest.
Again, try not to pull too many enemies together or the game just starts breaking and lagging out extremely
Down
badly.
below, the Shadar Kai commander addresses a terrified prisoner.
I really did like you, you know. It pains me to think how you'll be torn apart.
You've saved the poor captive from being mauled by the Howler. Karleth calls to you from behind the safety of a grate.
You must be the one who killed my pet. Now, perhaps, you think you can kill more? Good. Good. Make me feel alive.
The first captive has died. You thought you saw one of the gargoyles move. The door is locked. One of the Shadar Kai who guard this area must have the key. Karleth stands before another prisoner trapped in a cage,
You were my favorite.
says the Shadar Kai.
I can't bear to think of what will happen to you. My despair will be exquisite.
Karleth moves to attack, his face a twisted mixture of rage and joy.
This guy has a pretty nasty sort of like spinning chains attack as well. So if you can stay just outside of melee range while still doing some of your range attacks, that helps to avoid that a bit. And of course, a bunch of enemies coming out at the same time will probably lag the game out. But that's it for this dungeon.
You've saved the captive from Karleth's deadly devices.